Hello, this is Marcus Matusiak, CTO of Digitrax Entertainment. I'm just making a couple of short videos to introduce the Counterpoint calculator to you and to explain a little bit about how to install it and get it up and running. So firstly, if you look in the packages, if you're looking at a plugin architecture like VST or AU or AAX, you should see there's an instrument build and an effect build. And then outside of those, there are standalone builds as well. So with the standalone builds, firstly, you should just be able to get them up and running very easily. They take in MIDI files that have your notes in them, and then based on those notes, compose new music, and then you can use the file output path to write out the output notes into a MIDI file. If you're using the Windows version of the standalone, you will need to install the Visual C++ redistributable for 2015. So you will need to install that to get it to run. So if we're looking at the plugin folders, you have the instrument build and an effect build. Now the instrument builds should be loadable by any DAW that is able to load a virtual instrument. So the idea with that is you load it up as an instrument and it takes the notes and then composes new notes, and I'll show you how to get it back into the DAW in a moment. And then we have the effect build, which is possibly more powerful or leads to a more convenient workflow, but it's not supported by all DAWs. So I recommend starting with the instrument build and then experimenting to see if you can find a way to load the MIDI effect build in your workflow. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you a little bit about the instrument build right now. So I've got my Cubase open here, so let's have a look. So firstly, just to get it loaded, it was very easy for me. I just went into plugin information. Here I added the plugin path to my C demo DLL, which has the VST DLL for the instrument build inside. And then I just had to click update and it showed up here. So I hope it's as easy for you as it is for me here. So once it's actually loaded in the DAW, let's see what it does. So we can load up an instance of it here through the VST instruments or whatever virtual instrument selector you have. And I'm also going to make an instance of a synth so we can hear the output of what it's doing. So let's get a nice sound. Okay, so when you're using the instrument builds, there are really two ways that you can get it to write notes, and the one you choose will probably depend on your DAW and of course what you want to do. So the first way of using it is via MIDI files. So let me show you that first, because this way of working should work with all DAWs. Okay. So we start off here. There we go. So here's the instance of the Counterpoint calculator. And what I'm going to do is pass some notes into it, get it to write the generated notes out, and then we'll drag and drop the generated notes back into this Nexus 2 so we can hear how it sounds. So first I'll just choose a chord sequence. And then we need to write a few notes. So you can record these in or you can just draw them in, as I'm going to do here. Let's get something nice and simple. Okay. So now what I'm going to show you, this way of working, you won't actually hear it while we work, but then you'll obviously be able to hear it once we drag and drop it back in. So I've set up a MIDI file output folder here, cc MIDI out. So when you're writing the path, you do have to write it out in full, including the file name and extension. So here I have, let's just call it MIDI output, and then you have to write the .mid. Okay, so what I'm going to do is press play. As the DAW plays, these notes will be passed into this Counterpoint calculator instance. And then I'm going to press write, and it should write the output file. Now, one thing to bear in mind is don't do what I'm doing here, which is press play, then stop it, and then press write. Because actually, when you stop it, it clears all of the notes from the memory of the counterpoint calculator, and that's obviously necessary to stop things from building up and building up. So the way to get it to work is just to press play, wait till your notes have passed in, and then you click write while it's still playing. Okay. So now it should have written out a few notes in the MIDI output. So let's just drag this into the Nexus synth and see how it sounds. So just for reference, this is what we actually passed in. Okay, and then off it goes. Okay, so that's one way of working. It's still very useful, I think. You can just put in a few notes, click write, and then drag it in. But that's kind of the worst case scenario. So like some DAWs allow you to actually route the MIDI out, the notes coming out of this counterpoint calculator into the next track directly. So here in Cubase I can just select the counterpoint calculator MIDI out, it was already selected, to be passed into this Nexus synth. So that means the notes as they come in, these notes will be passed into the counterpoint calculator that will then pass them back through into the Nexus synth, so we'll be able to hear it as it goes. So let's hear how that sounds. Oops, sorry, you do have to remember, that's a good point, to monitor it or record it while it's going. And just before we finish, I'll just let you know as the very easiest way to use this is just to select a few different chord sequences and get it to write new notes. So you can play around with the notes you put in and all the parameters here. Okay, great. Thanks for listening, and good luck, and have fun using the Counterpoint calculator.